Welcome back. It's another inspiring episode of 31 and 31, a month of conversations with Proverbs 31 women. Today's guest, Erin Hancock, is the owner and senior dance instructor at Broadway Dance Company in South Fulton, Tennessee, a studio that has become a place where movement meets ministry. Erin has spent years teaching young dancers everything from ballet and tap to hip-hop and lyrical, but what truly sets her apart is her heart. Her love for Christ shines through every class she teaches, every piece she choreographs, and every young life she encourages. From the careful selection of costumes to late-night rehearsals, Erin pours her heart into her work, not just to create dancers, but to raise confident, faith-filled young people who understand that their gifts are from God. In today's episode, we'll talk about where her love of dance began, how her faith shapes her role as a teacher and business owner, and the creative ways she shares Christ's love through her art. This is a story about dancing with purpose and finding faith in every step. Join me now as we enjoy this conversation in Broadway Dance Studio with Erin. Good morning, Erin.
Good morning.
What a joy it is to be here with you in this beautiful studio. It seems odd to being here and it be so quiet.
Yes.
I'm used to being here when there are lots of little dancer feet running all over the place. Not so little even. Your
Right.
students even go through high school, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us who Erin is. Tell us who she is and how she became to be a dancer. And then tell us how Broadway Dance Company got here.
Okay. Well, I'm a child of God, first and foremost. And then I'm a wife. I'm a mother of six.
Six?
Yes. And then I'm a studio owner and a dancer and a teacher.
Okay.
And
have you always been a dancer? Did you grow up a dancer? Did you come from a family of dancers?
I did not.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I did not. But I started dance when I was 3 years old. And it became, a passion and something that I was talented at. And so I pursued that. And I danced on dance competition teams until I graduated high school. And then I went to college, and it was not a part of college. And then after I had my first daughter, maybe actually my first two daughters. Actually, I'd had all three. Okay. I'd had three, my son. I had my first three children because my son was a baby. And my daughter had danced in Martin and Union City. And Miss Saki Dawson, Union City, was one of her teachers, and I adored her, and she retired. And that summer, I just, prayed over it, and God opened it very quickly. And it was, hey, what if I did a studio? What if I opened up a studio, just something small?
Right.
And he said yes. And immediately, I opened a studio. I mean, it was like within a month.
It just felt, that's how you know.
Yeah, it fell in.
We had that conversation about when you know that God is in something, it just falls in place.
Yes.
Everything about it does.
It did. Yeah. And so I had my two little girls and then a 6-month-old baby. And my husband had a business in South Fulton with an extra room. And it was like, hey, this back room could become a dance studio. So it's just a little one-room studio. Down the hall, I had a little waiting area. We, popped up some mirrors, put down a floor, and brought in my first 23 students.
Okay.
And a lot of it was people that I had met in the community. I'm not from here, but my husband is. Mm-hmm. And so it was a lot of friends of his family, things like that.
Yeah.
And then the next year, we doubled. And then the next year, we doubled again.
You outgrew the little small room, it sounds like.
We outgrew that room. And so we moved over here in 2012. And I think that's right. And God's just continued to bless it with growth and more families down the year.
Yeah. So dancers can start at what age?
2.
Two.
We start at 2 with their mamas.
Okay.
Or daddies. Sometimes we have daddies in here. Every now and then we have a grandma or a big sister.
Right.
But it's a parent-assisted class. And so we kind of just model, how to take class for these itty-bitty ones.
Right. Yes.
And then we go up through, we've always gone up through high school. And this year we have a super senior who has come back past her senior year to dance one more year with us.
Oh, okay.
At 19.
Well, I didn't know that. That's great.
Yes.
Okay. So didn't come from a line of dancers. did you come from a family who adopted a love for it as much as you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, my mom was a cheerleader and she did
okay.
gymnastics and things like that.
So-
So that was kind of more, her
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But
Because dance is an art form.
it is.
It's a creative art form, and
Yes.
there aren't always, everyone in the house is not always a
Right,
creative.
right.
The personalities are different, and so
Absolutely.
did
But
you-
all my cousins danced, and
Okay.
all of the other little kids at church. We kind of became a group that all went to the same studio
Yeah.
together, and
Yeah.
so it was a family in a sense.
Good.
And then just like it is here, we all become a family.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you, in your training growing up throughout the years, the way that you manage your studio now, the way you coach your students now, did a lot of that come from things you saw to do right and things you saw to do a different way, maybe growing up?
Yes.
Have you brought in other words, a lot of your training
yes, ma'am.
throughout the years into the way you manage your own
I think
studio?
so. And a lot of it was just, I adored my teachers growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And then my teacher's daughter. So my teacher she did everything old school. And then her daughters because some of them were in high school and college. One of her daughters was a Rockette. And so we all looked up to her, and then, the other one specialized in tumbling, and her daughter, almost became an Olympian.
Yeah.
There were things like that where it was just a very successful studio, but also a very family atmosphere.
Right.
Because we had this teacher and her daughters. And then, like I said, all of our friends already took from there. And so just good discipline, good training, things like that. That's where I tried to bring that here.
Right.
As far as doing it old school.
I do see that, observing my own grandchild being one of your students and getting the opportunity to stand on the sidelines and watch you coach. And I do see that. But what I do see even beyond that is that you bring your faith
absolutely
into it. And it's really front and center,
okay.
even in front of the students, in front of all of the bells and whistles and the lights and the drama. It's front and center. And that's one of the things I admire about you most. And one of the things that really drew me to wanting you to be part of this 31 and 31 project is your story of pouring into these young lives in the creative form, but also in a faith-based form as well. Talk to me a little bit about where you pull that from. Where does that come from?
Yeah. First of all, I'm honored that you would say that, because so often things are unseen. And so the fact that you see that is very humbling. Everything I do is, I try to do it for the Lord. And that's our theme here at Broadway Dance Company is Colossians 3:17.
Okay.
And whatever you do it for the Lord.
Okay.
And so that's what I try to do here. If you, teach math or cut hair or teach students to dance, I just think that that's our mission here, is to do it for the Lord. And so he has given me this mission space to not only pour into my own children at home, but to pour into 120 families here or 150, different years we have different numbers. But what's important to me is just giving these children a positive place to come. And there's so many things that kids can do after school and in the evenings, and to blow off steam, to use their talents, to take care of their bodies and get exercise, to make friends, to build community, to build discipline. And those are all things that we try to do here. And
I would think probably for some along the way through the years, this has probably also been maybe one of the only places that they hear about faith. In some homes as well. And so I think that's great. That the school systems, unfortunately, are so limited in what they can and can't do, teachers can and can't do as far as expressing their faith or exposing them to knowing Jesus. But I love that you're so bold in it here, and that for those children that aren't getting it somewhere else, they can come here and do all the things you just mentioned, but at the same time feel like they've felt Jesus.
Yes. And some of them don't know. They don't even know that that's what it is, because they don't come from families of believers. And I'm praying for those kids a lot, and they don't even know it. But, I have kids that come from strong Christian families and other kids that don't. And so I try to I don't try to overdo it in a way that would turn someone off, because they're probably the ones that need to be here the most. And so, so like I said, where you said you notice it, I try to kind of ride that line where they see my faith, but I'm not.
You're not preaching it at them.
I'm not preaching it at them.
And I think sometimes that's the best sermon. I really believe it is.
Yeah.
That sometimes just the way you live your life is the very best sermon, because, it makes people wonder what it is you have that they don't have.
Right.
And why is our life so different? And why is mine not, And
so that is where I will definitely give all the credit to the Lord. And so if that is noticed, or if someone says, how do you do what you do? Or you were so busy, how are you not so tired? I always give credit to the Lord. And so I don't want to say, oh, I just show it just by preaching, or just by living my life, because I do believe that faith comes from hearing, and that they do need to hear about it. So I'm very vocal. For example, every now and then kids will come in here and they got saved over the weekend, and I make a big deal about that.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll discuss it, and I mean, that's just huge. It's like the Lord has just saved this child.
Yes.
Let's celebrate.
It's better than any star they're ever going to get at any dance competition.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we make a huge deal about that when that happens. I'm very intentional about leading our performances with prayer. So at our recitals, I always make sure that we begin with a prayer, even just first of all, thanking God for sending all these families our way, just so that we can do this fun thing together, but also that we begin it with worship and just gratitude for what he's given us, the talents he's given us. And then at dance competitions, recitals, things like that, I always take the girls into a circle and we pray with them. And again, I know there are unbelievers in that group, but I just pray that God will use that time, even with them, to show, okay, at least some of these people in this group, they believe what they are praying about right now. Like we believe in prayer. We know that we can pray that God will help us remember our steps and remember to smile and help us to nail that turn that we were having a hard time with, but also that we will just perform and shine for his glory. And that is always our prayer, is that we do this for you, for your glory.
I can't believe that you literally just said one word that you said a few moments ago, because I think for some reason it's God's entire intention for this entire 31 and 31 project. The word intentional has come up in every single episode.
Really? Wow.
Just naturally in conversation, not forced. And to me, that's just, it's indicative to me that living out your faith isn't easy. That it is something that has to be intentionally sought after on a daily basis, through reading of the word, through prayer, and through just being kind, receiving and giving kindness, both. That word intentional, like you just said it, just in natural conversation, and I love that. But one thing that I also love when you were talking about those prayer circles, at competitions, and I love that you're unapologetic about it. There are those in the circle that come from homes that may or may not have believers, but you're just unapologetic about it. And it's like in this business, in this dance company, we're going to pray. We're going to pray, and I appreciate that, and I think that I thank you for that.
Oh, because, absolutely.
It's very bold, and I love that.
And those are things I don't even think about. But and sometimes I guess dance studios in general are very tend to be not this way.
They're very secular.
Yeah, they're very secular. That was in the what you had mentioned earlier. It is a very secular business, and dance studios more and more are being encouraged to accept a whole lot of things that are not okay with God. And sometimes I have a chance to interact with other studio owners from around the country and say, well, that would not fly at my studio, because people ask questions. How do you deal with this? How do you deal with that?
We just don't do it.
The little boy wants to wear a little girl's costume.
Yeah.
Well, that would not fly at my studio, because that does not honor God. And I will not put a stamp of approval on things that do not honor God. So yes, unapologetically, my rules come from the Bible.
Yeah.
And my opinion doesn't matter.
Yes.
And the more I'm in the Word and the closer my relationship grows, the more my opinions align with God's anyway, right? And so when other opinions are introduced in this what can be a very secular place, not here, but the dance world in general. The dance industry. I think people know unapologetically that is not what we're about here, and that we're about something totally different. Yeah. And there are a lot of faith-based studios, which are really refreshing too. So we can go to even dance competitions and you see other studios dancing to worship music.
I think one of my favorites from last year from the competition teams was Amazing Grace. I believe it was a lyrical. I think it was
King of Kings.
King of Kings.
We did King of Kings.
It was so beautiful. It was probably one of my very favorite last year.
Thank you. It was one of mine too, and it was one that I didn't do the choreography for that. So I come up with the theme and I come up with the music and the styles and everything, and then I pass them out to my teachers. And say, okay, so that was a ballet class that I didn't teach, and so when I saw it, I was just
blown away.
Yeah. And it was just, the music and the worship and these little girls that just dance so well to it. And just to have a song that just honors the Lord in that way. I was full on worshiping, raising my hands. And I thought, I've never done this at recital. And I hope my hands aren't in the face of someone behind me. But it was just, it was pure worship through dance. And so when I can, I sprinkle those songs throughout.
Yeah. Love it. So choreography. You create some of the choreography, most of it actually. You have other instructors on staff here on a part-time basis. They in and out. Most are previous graduates.
They are this year,
the studio,
yes, ma'am.
Coming back, which I think is a testament to what they feel here and their love of Broadway Dance Studio, Dance Company actually. So choreographer, business owner, mom.
right.
Wife.
Yes.
All of the things. And so in the middle of owning this studio and pouring your life into the lives of anywhere from 120 to 150 other young people each year, you've got your own young people that look to you for shelter, safety, food, basic needs, and love, a mother's love.
Right.
How are you balancing all of that?
Okay, well, I'll tell you first of all, my husband takes care of most of the food. When you say that, I am not good at the food. Yeah. And I'm here for the food, right? So my sweet angel of a husband, usually we get out of class, and that's the first thing Poppy, my youngest daughter, she says is, what do we have on Tuesdays? Or what do we have on Mondays? And I can usually say, whatever Daddy brings us, and it's going to be amazing. Yeah. So, he's a sweet baby for taking care of that, because food, I know what I'm good at, and it's not food. Yeah. So, but I'm just very busy, and I don't rest. Even on, I don't rest. Now I like to play, but I don't rest well. Yeah. It is a struggle. I mean, sometimes, my husband's like, well, I got 40 minutes today, and so that is definitely something that, trying to pray through how I'm there more at home. It's always been very easy with my girls because they've always been here with me. And so I've had lots of time with my girls. And I have 4 daughters. And so all of them have danced. 2 have graduated. And then I have 2 here with me now. And then this year, trying to be more intentional, trying to go to my son who played soccer his senior year, and how I can get out of here as quickly as possible instead of hanging around that extra half an hour to talk to families. I'm sacrificing that a little bit more this year, so that as soon as my class is over, I'm in the car, and then I can make the second half of his softball or soccer game. Yeah. Even if it's in Murray or, Callaway County or, something like that. So trying to be intentional there. I'm still not there. I've still been to only 2 football games of my other son. There's things like that, to be really good at one thing, other things are a sacrifice. And so just trying to do what I do for the glory of the Lord, and just
pray that he'll bless you along the way.
And pray that he'll help me with the things where I struggle more.
But I think that's true of any business owner, regardless of what it is, a dance studio or boutique or, restaurant. Right. Business ownership impacts the entire family
Mm-hmm.
if you're doing it right.
Right.
Because it is kind of all-consuming.
It is.
And it has to be a team effort. It has to be something that everybody is on board.
Right.
And there are sacrifices on everyone's part.
Right.
And I think as long as everybody comes together at the table, at least once a week, and holds hands and loves one another, then I think God will bless it all.
Right.
So, what parts of your career give you the most fulfillment?
The kids.
The kids.
Yeah, absolutely, the kids. Gotcha. So I can be, in fact, I was just telling Miss Joni last night, I can be tired. We just took a dance trip to Disney and came back, flew back on Monday, and then taught dance on Monday, and got 5 hours of sleep that night and 5 hours the night before. And it doesn't matter how tired I am, the minute I walk in this place, I'm revived, rejuvenated, because all of those little girls and older girls, there's tiny ones, there's big ones, but they're all my girls. And they're just filled with so much joy that I love all the parts of my job. I love doing choreography. I mean, it's creative, it's fun, it's hard. I put a lot into it. I might spend 30 minutes on 16 counts of music. It's hard. Yeah. And I do it in my kitchen a lot of times. And then I come here and all of a sudden it went from one girl in my kitchen to 12 girls, and it just comes to life. And so that is a beautiful, joyful part of the job. I love picking out music in May and coming up with a theme and researching all the songs that would fit the theme, and then who gets what song. That's so much fun. And then I edit the music, and I take a 4.5-minute song and I make it into 2.5, and that's so fun, and then the costume catalogs come in August, and I'm like a kid in a candy store, and that comes in my mailbox, and we start ripping pages out, and then I do take over my entire living room with all of those, and they're just here, and well, if they're red at Christmas, then they've got to be purple in the spring, but they were yellow last year, it's all of that. And when we have a theme like a fireman or a cook, it's even more fun. Or I get to dress this one like a bumblebee this year. So all of those things are so much fun. And sometimes I tell my kids, I'm like, because I've got my two girls that have already graduated, and both of them would love to open up a dance studio one day. And I tell them, like, this is the best job ever. Do you know what I did today? Like, well, right now for theater, I'm like making a cow, like a whole cow prop. And I have this cow head that's this big. And it started off with some Amazon boxes and, white dishcloths. And I'm like, this is what I did today. And this is my job. Like, this is so much fun. But out of all of those things, nothing beats like what happens right here in this room with the girls. And just watching them work hard, at something.
Is there anything better than watching the face of that little girl or the big girl that has struggled with that one move or that one technique, and then she finally lands it?
No, it's amazing. It's so amazing. And then we cheer and we high five and we hug and we scream, and then I usually get my phone out and put it on video, and so we can show your mom, like, you got this. But and they do it together. And then I don't know, maybe more beautiful that is the little girls that help tie each other's shoes. And I mean, it's just the teamwork, and the family that is here is just so sweet. Or when I'm coming into class and I'm starting the music, or I'm helping somebody tie a shoe, and maybe there was a little girl absent, and so they're catching her up. I mean, that was happening last night. And I'm just over here, I'm putting the music together and grabbing stuff, and they're already working because they love it so much. And so it's just that joy, and they're helping each other. And, oh, you missed this. Oh, and what was my formation? And one of them remembers. And now I've got all these high school students that are smarter than me now. And so, my brain is starting to slow down a hair. And so I do all the pre-work, and then I teach it to them. And some little part of it leaves me so that I can do the next thing, but they all remember it. And so they become teachers in their own right. And it's just such a cool thing to watch happen. But just the family, I guess, the family and the joy. I mean, there's just so much joy here.
Yeah. Well, good. Thank you so much. So at the close of every episode on the Authentically You podcast, we do a couple of things. The first thing I would like to do is ask you to share a word of encouragement to that woman, that young woman particularly, who's got that love of of a creative art form in some way, and she thinks it may be dance. And not for it to be an infomercial for Broadway Dance Company, but just what do you say to the heart of that young woman?
To go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, if God has given you, if he's given you a skill or a passion or just a want to, then
just go for it. Whatever it is.
Then go for it.
Dance.
Whatever it is. Whatever it is.
Just, you're never going to know. Never going to know if you don't try.
Right.
I'd much rather fail at dozens of things than never to have tried one.
Absolutely. So. And if you're a little girl, once, every little girl is born to twirl, I think. And then eventually they might want to, play softball or something. Right. But, when you have a 2-year-old, that's all you can do. And so it's been a beautiful thing to see these mamas and babies come in together. Yeah. And so,
what I have loved observing too, that we haven't even touched on, is what happens in the waiting room.
Yes.
While the dance class is happening. Because I've had the opportunity to be the pickup person, for our little dancer occasionally, and have sat in the waiting room. And what I really like about what you do is that the moms are not in the dance room. It's you and the students, and moms are not in the room. And I really think for the dancers, that's a great thing, because it alleviates that pressure of mom.
Yes.
We as moms don't intend, that word again, we don't intend to pressure our girls, but sometimes just our presence.
Oh, we do, yes.
Is pressure.
Yeah.
And so I love that the moms have their space.
Right.
And they're not allowed in the dance room.
Right.
Except for the class that they're supposed to be there.
Yes, we need them there.
But what I have loved observing is the friendships that have developed among those moms as they're waiting. And it's a safe place for them to come and sit for that hour and visit with other moms, and they commiserate, and they celebrate, life together, and it gives them a moment to just decompress from their busy lives too. So,
and I love that, that's been your experience, because that's not everywhere, you know, but that is the culture that I have.
Yeah, and I think that's the key word is that you have created not just a dance studio, not just a business for yourself and your livelihood. You've created a culture in an industry that we've already discussed can oftentimes in certain places have a different culture.
Right, absolutely.
And so I think it's a beautiful thing that you and the Lord have done together.
Yes, well, he's done it. He's done it, and I've just tried to be obedient. But
great.
Yeah, a lot of these kids, they want to watch Dance Moms on TV, and I'm like, don't even watch that, because that's not who we are. I don't even want that influence to be there anywhere. And it's fun to watch the girls compete and do the dancing on stage, but those cultures are so not what we want here. And if I've ever heard any, I'm in here teaching and working, like you said, working with the girls with no distraction from that. But if I've ever heard of any, just little, I just shut it down, because I'm like, that's not what we do here. And other dance studios do have an issue with that, or the moms are so competitive with each other because, Susie got this solo and she didn't get one. And, or she's always in the front, and, and they're very competitive. But here, God's just given us a family where we do support one another, encourage each other. When our girls do have solos, they're competing against each other in that moment. And they're the first ones to scream and yell and hug when they walk off the stage.
Yeah. I observed that too at competition season last year was, our teams even cheering on teams from other studios, teams, their competitors, just supporting them and loving them, through it.
That's important to us. I mentioned that to our girls at Disney. I said, hey, we're getting ready to be with a bunch of other studios. We're riding the bus with other studios. Give up a seat. Say, hey, when we're in line for foods, let somebody else go first. Like, let's be that studio. And really, the dance competitions are very good at also about encouraging that culture. Not everyone does it, but we say, they'll give awards now for those the backstage who's, and we got one, last year. And that was my favorite award, really, is we're a studio. I don't remember what they called it, but it was to the account of the studio.
Congeniality or something like that.
Congeniality. But it was like, these are the nice girls. We yell and scream for the other teams and things like that. So that is important.
That comes from feeling love and feeling kindness, because you repeat behavior that is rewarded,
Mhm.
and you reward that because you
Right.
see it and observe it. You applaud them in the studio, not just for good moves, good technique, landing the turn, whatever.
Right.
You applaud them for their shining spirits.
Right. And that's way more important to me than how well they turn.
Yeah.
And, most of these kids are not going to grow up to be professional dancers.
Right.
Now, if they want to do that, my daughter is getting ready to be one. So we can train them for that here.
Right.
But more importantly, they're going to be little citizens of the world, and so they need to know how to work together.
Right.
And they need to know how to encourage one another and to work hard and to keep working hard if I don't feel like it. There's all these lessons that we learn here that are way more important and than just the friendship, the community, all of those things are way more important than developing perfectly trained dancers.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the ultimate goal for a dancer Rockette?
No. No, I think the ultimate joy. No, well, I think if you're wanting to be a professional dancer, yes,
okay,
you want to be a Rockette, or you want to go to Hollywood and be on some superstar's backup dance team.
Right.
You want to go to the Disney stage and train there. You want to be on a professional sports team. You want to be a dancer there. A lot of these girls, I've got 3 right now. I think 4. I've got 4 of my alumni right now, and we're still pretty young studio. We're in year 18, but so we've just started graduating kids in the last 5 years, and 4 of them are on college dance teams. So we can train them to go on and keep going, but I think the most thing is just the love for dance, the appreciation for it, the appreciation for the arts in general. All these kids are, they're growing up in dance, but they're going to go on to do 100 different things. But just that they love dance and that they know it's an amazing, positive experience. One day they're going to want their kids to do it.
Right. And good exercise.
Yes,
good
that's
exercise.
right.
Movement is good.
It's very good.
We close every episode with that second thing, and that's to ask our guests to share us with a scripture that has special meaning to you personally.
Well, I think I'd probably just circle back there to Colossians 3:17, is that we do everything for the Lord, and that we're always looking heavenward. And if we're struggling in any way, like, oh, this is a hard part of my job right now, or this is a hard part of my personal life right now, know that we are putting him first in all that we do. And then Romans 8:28, he's going to make good of all, for the good. And so that's when we're struggling with anything that we're dealing with. He's going to do all things for the good of those who love him, or called according to his purpose. And so I'd say those 2 verses together are kind of how I do what I do.
You are living your life exactly.
I try.
That's key. Thank you so much for what you do, for the life that you live, the example that you're setting for all of these young lives, and the adults too that you're pouring into as well.
Well, they pour into me as well too. So
thank you, and thank you for welcoming us into this beautiful studio and spending a few minutes with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks for joining in today for this episode of the 31 in 31 series, a month of conversations with Proverbs 31 women here at the Authentically You Network podcast. We look forward to yet another great episode tomorrow and hope that you will join us to be inspired, encouraged, and have your faith strengthened. Have a great day and be blessed.